Neutrality by Design, Building Weapon-Resistant Systems in the Age of AI and Economic Blocs. Summary statement. The era of neutral global infrastructure is over. Finance has already fragmented into economic power blocks. AI, compute, data, and other critical systems are next. This essay argues that future communal infrastructure must be deliberately engineered for neutrality through strong governance protocols, credible optionality, and decentralized designs like public blockchains and token-based systems. Only by building weapon-resistant architecture from the ground up can we prevent shared systems from becoming permanent battlefields in a multipolar world. Section 1. Introduction. Neutral global finance was never truly neutral. It was stable only because it was uncontested. As geopolitical competition intensifies, that illusion has shattered. Financial infrastructure is being reclassified from shared utility to strategic asset. The same pattern now threatens every critical layer of modern civilization. This follow-up to The End of Neutral Global Finance and the Rise of Economic Power Blocks generalizes the diagnosis. Shared infrastructure that lacks enforceable neutrality does not remain shared. It becomes a weapon. The solution lies not in hoping for goodwill, but in designing systems that make weaponization prohibitively expensive. Section 2. The Pattern. From finance to all critical infrastructure. Any infrastructure that becomes essential follows a predictable life cycle. It grows essential, dependence forms, a crisis hits, and the controlling party discovers leverage. History provides dozens of examples. The U.S. removed Russian banks from SWIFT after the Ukraine invasion. America cut Huawei off from Google services and advanced chips almost overnight. China restricted rare earth exports during trade tensions. France has faced criticism for using CFA franc arrangements to influence African economies. Russia faced sanctions on energy pipelines, while the Strait of Hormuz, Suez Canal, and Panama Canal have all been leveraged during crises. Even oil shipments to Cuba and Venezuela have been blocked. In each case, the infrastructure itself was not the battlefield. It became the weapon. Finance led the way because it was the first truly global layer. Now the pattern is repeating higher in the stack. Section 3. The Infrastructure Neutrality Doctrine. We therefore need an explicit infrastructure neutrality doctrine. Any system that claims to serve global or communal use must be deliberately engineered so that no single actor can unilaterally weaponize it during crisis. Neutrality cannot be assumed. It must be governed, stress-tested, and enforced. The goal is mutual assured restraint, a design where the cost of weaponization exceeds the benefit for any major player. This requires credible, reciprocal protocols rather than vague international norms that collapse under pressure. Without such design, every new shared layer, whether financial rails, energy routes, or data systems, will accelerate fragmentation rather than reduce it. Section 4. The AI tech stack as the next contested layer. AI represents a far more dangerous domain than finance. While financial weaponization affects money and trade, AI weaponization affects agency itself, who can compute, automate, predict, design, defend, and persuade at scale. Current trends confirm the risk. U.S. export controls already limit advanced chips to China. Cloud providers face pressure to restrict access. Nations are building parallel ecosystems. China's post-Huawei never-again strategy, accelerating domestic chips, local models, and reduced dependence, is rational. Similar moves are visible in Europe, India, and elsewhere. If AI infrastructure remains under uncontested control by any bloc, it will be weaponized. The cognitive leverage is simply too powerful to remain neutral by default. This content is brought to you by Bobby Giggs. Promote your brand here and reach a wide audience across platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Follow the links in the description to get started. Section 5. Optionality as the ultimate deterrent. The deepest insight here is that weaponization thrives primarily under uncontested dominance. Introduce credible alternatives early and behavior changes preemptively. This is the power of optionality. When users, developers, and nations have a viable or else, controllers exercise restraint to avoid driving adoption toward the alternative. The threat of exit disciplines the system more effectively than constant enforcement. Timing is critical. Building alternatives from jump, before dominance hardens, maximizes the deterrent effect. In game theory terms, it transforms a one-shot power play into a repeated game where defection carries lasting costs. Open source software already demonstrated this dynamic. Permissionless systems can extend it to critical infrastructure. Section 6. Neutrality by design, permissionless systems, and tokenized governance. Public, permissionless blockchains combined with token-based governance offer one of the strongest practical implementations of this doctrine. Such systems are open, borderless, and censorship-resistant by architecture. No single government or corporation can flip a central switch. Token holders gain skin in the game. Governance votes, access rights, and economic incentives align participants toward neutrality. Attacking the system devalues one's own stake. Network effects and the Lindy effect, surviving attacks over time, can pull in critical mass. Applied to AI, this means decentralized compute marketplaces, model auditing protocols, data contribution systems, and inference coordination layers governed on-chain, while heavy computation may remain hybrid. It won't replace frontier training clusters entirely, but it creates a parallel, harder-to-weaponize stack for many use cases. Limitations exist. Token governance can suffer capture by whales or foundations. States can still regulate on-ramps, target physical infrastructure, or impose local bans. Performance trade-offs remain real, yet these systems meaningfully raise the cost of unilateral action and create the optionality required for deterrence. Section 7. The emerging multi-layered world. The likely outcome is not pure fragmentation or a single global system, but a multi-layered architecture. Sovereign and block-controlled frontier stacks optimize for performance and security. Open, tokenized communal layers optimize for neutrality and access. Hybrid arrangements in between. The credible existence of the open layer disciplines the closed ones. Controllers know that excessive weaponization accelerates migration toward the permissionless alternative. This contested equilibrium is messier and more expensive than the old uncontested order, but it better reflects multipolar realities while preserving more agency than total block isolation would allow. Section 8. Conclusion and prescriptive implications. Shared infrastructure without enforceable neutrality becomes a battlefield. The antidote is neutrality by design, strong governance, credible optionality, and decentralized architectures that make restraint the rational choice. The call to action is urgent. Builders, policymakers, and technologists must prioritize weapon-resistant systems now, especially for the AI stack, while the architecture is still forming. Permissionless, tokenized layers should be developed in parallel with closed systems so that optionality exists from jump. This approach does not eliminate competition or risk. It channels both into a more stable multipolar framework. By engineering neutrality instead of hoping for it, we can move from a world where access becomes a privilege to one where participation remains a baseline, even amid great power rivalry. The original essay asked whether economic power blocks could coexist without turning finance into a permanent battlefield. The answer depends on what we build next. Neutrality by design is the path that keeps infrastructure as infrastructure, rather than letting it devolve into weaponry.